Alright. Welcome to Knockhill. Little Scottish track. Mostly known for British touring car series going there. So I decided let's do some touring car action at Knockhill. Look how pretty. Only 12 competitors, including myself. I'm starting myself out in P last to do a little 5-lap race in this short track. See if I can work my way through the field. Jesus, people. Come on, man. This is not a parade. Let's get going. Gotcha. Alright, V8. V7. Turn 1 is definitely more tricky than it appears right there. Not only because, oh, it's a chicane, but because it starts right as the track goes downhill. So if you get it wrong, you will chuck yourself out wide of that first part of that corner very easily. You'll just understeer your way off track. Alright. I'm halfway up. Gotcha. One of the reasons also that turn 1 is so vicious is that these little touring cars are just sprung so tightly that they bounce all over the place. And when you hit the curb or let a tire go off track or hit an opponent, it seriously upsets the suspension. And the car does not want to respond properly until it's had a second, to settle back down. And going through that chicane on turn 1 that's, going downhill, it's really difficult to go through there and not take a piece of that curbing. So your suspension is seriously unsettled, and you're trying to turn while going down a hill where the suspension is unloaded, creating some understeer. It's kind of tricky. Not in a bad way, it's just a technical corner. Just one of the things that makes road racing interesting. Holy shit, P2. All right, let's reel him in. Excuse me. One of the weird things about these transmissions in these cars is I'm used to, in a game, being able to kind of downshift whenever I want to, even if my revs are too high. And the car will just typically respond then with the drive tires breaking traction. Ah, couldn't get him. Couldn't get him. P2 from P12 in 5 laps. That's not too shabby, not too shabby. But anyway, like I was saying, it will not let you won't let you downshift too early. So sometimes I hit the downshift button when I'm going through a corner. My revs are too high, it won't let me downshift, and I'm kind of wondering on the exit why the hell I'm a gear too high and out of the power band. So there's that. But yeah, quick little note about this race is one of the things that's really fantastic about Project Cars, and I'm not saying Project Cars is flawless and it's like the best racing game ever, because good lord, there is rough edges all over this thing. There are things that are glitchy, there are things that are kind of busted, edges that need to be sanded off, just all kinds of roughness. But for the most part, this game does a lot right. It really does. And one of the things that I love about this game is that the performance indexing is almost infinitely adjustable. And you know, by that I mean making your car as competitive as possible. One of the things that, you know, if you don't follow racing games, you think, well, I just want to turn it to the point where I can win every time, which isn't fun. What you want is really competitive, where you do your absolute best and you have a pretty good chance of winning if you don't screw up. Now, you can do that in any number of ways. There's an AI difficulty slider that goes from 0 to 100, so you can adjust how good the other, you know, the other drivers are, the other AI drivers. You can also adjust their aggression level, how aggressively they try to overtake you and stuff. There's other performance indexers, like, you know, you can adjust your restrictor plate on your intake, so you can, you know, reduce the power of the car. All these different kind of factors that you can perfectly tune the race to make it really, really competitive and really, really fun based on your own skill level, which that's key. You want the game to be perfectly suited to your skill level. And Project Cars lets you do that, and it not only lets you do that in a very granular way, but by by a lot of different means. One of the other things that I've liked to do is take a race like this, and you see in 5 short laps, you saw I was just kind of overtaking and overtaking and overtaking. Really, if I wanted to do this a different way, I could set up the AI drivers where they were at my skill level, and then qualify, and then try to get through the race. And that's certainly one way about it. But one of the things that I like to do with this particular race is set the AI difficulty where if I have a really good race, I can start at the back and work my way all the way to the front if I don't screw up too hard. Because not only can you qualify, but you can also set your specific starting position on the grid just wherever you want to. So you can make yourself start in the middle or third or sixth or wherever. So I specifically and deliberately set myself at the back of the pack, knowing that I could, with a good race, work my way to the front by the end of the race. You know, part of the reason that is because I always liked those Sega AM2 arcade racing games, and they were kind of really perfectly fine-tuned to be like that, where you always felt a sense of accomplishment because if you're doing well, you were always passing cars. But in order to pass and into the lead by the finish of the race, you had to fucking nail it. And I miss that. I miss that of those old Sega AM2 arcade racing games. And that's how I set up this race. I set up the race where the AI was definitely not as fast as me, but I gave myself a limited number of laps and put myself in the back so I could work my way forward. So this race is kind of a a tribute, sort of dedicated to those old Sega AM2 arcade racers, where that's, you know, that's how they were set up. And by Sega AM2 racers, I mean, you know, like Sega Rally Championship, you know, Daytona USA, you know, stuff like that. Sega Touring Car Championship. I could name others, but they're falling off my head. Manx TT was set up like that. You know, all those arcade racing games were set up like that. So that's sort of what I was going for. And I think this is the final trip across the start finish. There's me and P2. Boink! And that's it. Thanks for watching.